actually in Celebration right now, but I have some new information to share about Toy Story Land. So if you remember my last video on Toy Story Land, I gave you my impressions of Slinky Dog Dash as well as a little bit of the land. Well, this time I got to see a lot more of it, so I'm going to give you some updated impressions because I got to ride Slinky Dog about 5 more times. I also rode Alien Swirling Saucers twice, so I can share my thoughts on that one as well. We also got to walk around the entire land, which was nice. So I figure we'll kick things off by talking once again about Slinky Dog Dash. So this time I rode 5 more times. I rode once in like the 3rd row, once in the back row, and then the rest were kind of in the middle. I will have to say my best experience was definitely the back row. The coil effect for the second launch, as well as just the overall thrill level of the ride, I think is much better in the back row than it is in the other rows. All are pretty solid. Like, I wouldn't say one is significantly better than the other, but I would say I prefer the back row over all of them. Because the front row, your view is partially obstructed by Slinky. So it kind of like Big Thunder Mountain, you're going to see just the back of the caboose, or the back of the train, or in this case the front of Slinky. So it's not going to be a perfect unobstructed view no matter what you do. And in the back, especially if you're a thrill seeker, you're going to get a little bit more airtime and a little bit more of that like coil effect. But after riding it 5 more times, I do have to say I really like it. I think it's a really enjoyable coaster. A lot of fun, a little more thrilling than a kiddie coaster, but not a top tier thrill coaster. It's a good family ride. So my impressions from the original video still stand. So I still think it's a good ride, and I think people are going to really enjoy it. So definitely check out Slinky Dog Dash, and if you want my first video impressions, be sure to check out our earlier theme park chat where I talked about Slinky Dog Dash. Now, Alien Swirling Saucers. We knew what this was going to be going into it. It's basically a clone of Mater's Junkyard Jamboree from California Adventure's Cars Land. There are a few differences. The main thing is, instead of having 3 turntables like Mater's, it has 4 actually, but there are less vehicles per turntable. So it has an extra turntable, but 1 less vehicle per turntable because the turntables are smaller. I also have to say, I think it's a little tamer than Mater's. Mater's whips you around a lot. This one can at times, but it doesn't whip you around nearly as much as Mater's does. I think part of that is they wanted it to be a little bit more kid-friendly than Mater's, even though Mater's is also pretty kid-friendly. The soundtrack is awesome. It's basically like techno-fied remixes of different Toy Story songs from the various movies. The first one we had was a remix of We Belong Together, which was the credit song from Toy Story 3. And then the second one we had the Woody's Roundup theme that was done kind of sci-fi and spacey. So both times I rode it, I had a really good time. I think it's a great flat ride. The queue was really cool. They clearly were not done with it when we went through, because there were some show effects that were not turned on that are going to do something. There's like switches and buttons throughout the queue, and it looks like they're eventually going to connect to do something cool. We're not 100% sure what they're going to do because they're not turned on yet, but I would keep an eye out for those when you're in the queue for Swirling Saucers, because I think those are going to do something pretty interesting. I can also tell that Swirling Saucers is going to be really cool at night because there are lights like all over the roof. So I think that one's going to be pretty awesome. Slinky Dog too. Apparently the entire like queue lights up at night, so that's pretty. Or not the queue, the track lights up at night, so that's pretty cool. Nothing else was open. There was one merchandise cart, but it was just selling generic merch. Nothing particularly interesting. The Woody's Lunchbox was not open, sad face. I was really hoping it was because I wanted to try some of the food. Unfortunately, it was not. But they did let us take a look at the breakfast menu, and then the lunch menu was actually posted on the restaurant. The menu looks terrific, so I'm really excited to try this place. Mobile order is available. They did have a sign that mentioned mobile order, so you can mobile order all of your sandwiches and stuff for Woody's Lunchbox. Couple minor gripes that I had, and again, this was a dress rehearsal, so it was not a complete, you know, day one opening kind of situation. They still have some work to do, and they know it. The fans weren't particularly great in either queue, especially in the Slinky queue. The fans were very... They weren't doing very much. That Slinky queue got real hot, and I was only waiting for about 30 minutes or so the first time I rode. The last few times was walk-on, but the first time I rode, it was like a good 30-minute queue or so, and if that thing is full, those fans need to be on blast because it's going to get real hot in that queue. Saucers was a little bit better because I think the roof is a little bit lower in that one. Not all the fans were working on that one either, but I think that one's going to be a little bit cooler in terms of temperature. One major complaint that I had, I mean, it's not a, it's a dumb complaint, but it's a complaint for me. The bathroom. Why are all the urinals kid-sized? That's I don't understand that. Yeah, I get it, it's a Toy Story area, but it was real awkward to have to bend down, so just saying that was a poor design choice. Restroom's nice though, it's very well done. There's like crayons and stuff on the wall, so it looks cool. But yeah, the more time I spent there, the more I really appreciated what it does. I think it looks good. It's a fun land. It's going to be popular for a while, I can tell. The rides are both good. They have the Mania queue where you could like take a look at it. It wasn't open because it was open on the other side, but you could like take a look around the queue. It looks good. Apparently it's a lot longer now, so that's good for those crowds. So I think that's pretty much all I have on additional impressions. I'm excited to see what everybody thinks when it actually opens in a couple weeks. Actually next weekend. It opens next weekend, so those are my thoughts. Again, sorry I couldn't take pictures or video, but that's just how it is. So of course after it opens and when I can have the time to put into it, I will return and I will film all the things, including taste test of Woody's Lunchbox as well as on-ride cameras for both rides, and probably the queue for Mania since that's going to be a bit different. So, but yeah, those are my updated impressions, and that's going to do it for this episode of Theme Park Chat. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to get going because it looks like it's going to start raining soon, so I will catch you next time. Bye.